Great. So we're animal rights activists.
Okay.
Do you believe that animals deserve rights?
Yeah.
Do you think that they deserve the right, like, to not be enslaved or exploited or oppressed or commodified, objectified by us?
To a degree, yeah.
Okay, and to what degree is it acceptable to do that to them?
I think that there's a certain standard of like there are people who take care of animals and raise them in a sustainable way to as like food sources for us. That's allowed that I can be seen as being objectified because they're being used and raised as like specifically food sources. But I think that there's definitely a lot of issues in the world on how some of that is currently being done.
So what would be a way to do that that would not be wrong from your perspective, that would be acceptable?
Like the idea of like I don't know very much about like how food sources are currently being. I know that there are good and bad ways. I haven't done a lot of like personal research into it, but I guess there's like organic farming processes of like letting like wildlife kind of roam naturally rather than keeping them like really close contained quarters. That seems more natural. That seems less of like an objectification because they're kind of doing their natural processes and being raised in a more healthy way.
Would you be okay with doing that to humans?
No, definitely. Or like you mean raising humans in that way?
Right.
For that purpose.
For that purpose? Probably not, but I think that's also because of the bias of like humans have higher intellectual like kind of ideas and are able to do stuff differently.
What about humans that are on the same intellectual level as other animals?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you said that it's like wrong to do that to humans because of the intellectual level. What
Right.
about humans that are on the same intellectual level as like a pig? Would it be okay to do that to them?
I think because humans are able to express themselves differently, there's a different stigma behind like raising humans and raising animals in the same way because animals aren't able to express their own like
Right.
their own thoughts to everyone else.
What if they can't express themselves? They're just
Humans?
like there's like intellectually challenged human beings who can't express themselves, who have the cognitive abilities of animals.
I think the difference in that sense of like in a social like societal way is that those humans typically have loved ones who are able to advocate on their behalf.
What if they don't have any of that?
I'm not really sure then.
Then would it be okay to farm them, to bring them to life, use them as a whatever and then kill them?
In my head, no, because I was
Yeah.
raised like I guess that's the whole social experiment is that I was raised in the sense that humans are like regardless of their intellectual level at a level above animals.
Right. But you know, like I view, I don't view all humans on like the same level. You know, I see like maybe I value like of course like my family and my friends on a higher level than other humans. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna go and exploit the other humans. You know, and it's the same with the other animals. You know, like to be. Do you know what veganism is?
Like being vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the like the ethical decision to not exploit other animals. And you know, you don't even have to think that other animals are on the same like level of moral consideration as other humans to live vegan. You just have to decide that they're on a level that they should be allowed to live their lives. They should not be exploited. They should not be objectified, and just be left alone, basically.
For a sandwich especially, imagine something as trivial as a sandwich,
Yeah.
taking somebody's life. Do you even remember what you had 2 weeks ago? Or do you-
2 weeks ago. I'm gonna be honest, I can't even remember where I've been 2 weeks ago. I've been traveling so much, so probably
we
not.
forget,
Yeah.
but they lose their whole existence for
Yeah.
something we forget in a couple of weeks.
Definitely. That's an interesting way to think about it. I have friends who are vegan, but I've never really thought of it like in that way. They've always just kind of said they just don't really like the taste of meat. So it's a very interesting way to think about it. I'll definitely keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Yeah, well, veganism isn't about preferences on taste.
Yeah.
You know, like I enjoyed the taste of meat before I went vegan. I enjoyed the taste of cheese, you know, and so as a vegan, I eat vegan meat and vegan cheese. The reason why people go vegan is because exploiting other animals is wrong. Just like the same reason, you know, people are not sexist is because being sexist is wrong. You know, this
Right.
is a justice movement to liberate other animals. So, you know, would there be anything that would be stopping you from going vegan and no longer exploiting other animals?
Like physically, probably not. I think I just was raised in such a way that like it's like in my culture, like meat is such a big thing that it's hard to completely like go around it. I think it definitely like there are steps that I would take to like consume less, like and maybe slowly go into it. But I think like completely cutting it out all at once would be very difficult. Just of like how long I've been eating meat like that and food,
Okay.
like animal products.
And if you were in the animal's position, how would you feel about that justification to exploit?
Probably not great, honestly.
Right.
I think it's really hard to like I know in my head that it's like definitely not the right thing and it's probably better to be vegan, like both for the animals and for sustainability. But because of how long I've been doing it and how I've been raised, like it's hard to completely make that brain shift and like justify, like not necessarily justify, but just like make that full switch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would just be like a very big lifestyle change very quickly. And I think that's the biggest thing that like people struggle with when going vegan or doing something like that is because they're so used to one thing that change is very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Being used to it is, you know, like we're raised to believe that these animals are like here to serve us and to be killed for us and to be exploited and make milk and make eggs for us. But it's just not fair to them. It's an injustice to them.
Definitely.
And that's why we're here and standing up for them because they can't stand up for themselves. And, you know, if it was you, we'd be standing up for you too.
Very like it's very insightful and I like talking to people about this. Like I love hearing the perspectives and like why people think this and like the different viewpoints of how to look at it because I've never really thought of veganism in that way before. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for the information.
Can I
and
ask you something?
conversation. Yeah.
What's a food that you really like?
A food that I really like?
Yeah.
I really
Maybe-
like burrata, so I really like cheese.
Burrata.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's imagine that you find out that burrata comes from exploiting cats and dogs. So you just never knew that they do that. They have to kill a cat and use one of their body parts to make burrata. Not necessarily for the milk, for the inside, but maybe just to shape it in the way
Yeah.
that they do. Would you stop eating burrata right there, knowing that every time you do, you kill a cat, or would you continue consuming it?
I want to say no, but I think that unless I was actually put in that situation, like it's really hard to like think about a hypothetical in that way. But I'd probably stop.
You probably
So,
stop. Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the meat products and eating meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Don't you think all animals deserve the same consideration that you stop, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Because do you think that from the perspective, do you think that if we put a cow into a slaughterhouse or a cat into a slaughterhouse, that they feel differently when you cut their throat or something?
No, definitely not.
No.
Yeah. Well, this has been very insightful. Thank you guys so much. I actually have tickets to go to the Rijksmuseum.
I'll
But
just give you a card before you go.
absolutely.
So, if you scan this QR code, can you watch one of these two, the minion or the most important speech over here?
Yeah. Great.
They just appear on top. You have also resources there to help you go vegan.
Definitely.
How many more animals do you want to be exploited in your name from now on?
None, to be honest. After this
I
conversation.
appreciate you.
It can be zero. You could go
Yeah.
vegan today.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your
Cheers.
day.
Ciao.